Hello, this is Mahmoud and welcome to Rhythmic Flames xpExplosiaFX and Advection tutorial. In this tutorial, we will talk about xpSound, xpExplosiaFX and SourceStack. We can blend the music with fiery visuals using xpSound modifier, xpExplosia Dynamics and also SourceStack. xpExplosiaFX and also xpSourceStack, they will be used together with the help of xpSound modifiers to create our fiery audiovisual. In xparticle XP system, we can find in xparticle modifier here control modifier xpSound, and also in xparticle dynamics we can find xpExplosiaFX here, and also in Insidium tag we can find xpExplosiaFX source here. We can add xpSourceStack on object or on emitter. The only difference is if we add our source tag on emitter, we just need to do one more step. And here in extended data, in physical data, we need to activate the temperature, smoke, fuel or fire. The default number is here 0 and we should keep it minimum the number 1. And also we will explore more of xpExplosiaFX with other modifiers such as wind or gravity or other dynamics such as xpFlowField. Here in control modifier we have a group of powerful modifiers that we can experiment and see how they affect our files. For example, xpGravity or xpFollowSurface. We will also experiment with the xpFlowField as other dynamics to see how it will affect our xpExplosiaFX. For more about xpSound and xpExplosiaFX, please check the video descriptions. There are additional links that you can learn about xpSound and also xpExplosiaFX. I rendered this project using Redshift and also the rendering color space ACEScg, the view the raw, and also compensate for view transfer deactivated. Please read and research about ACEScg because for the project like this that you have fire and a lot of lights, rendering this color space will help you to have better results in your post-production. Also Redshift settings, we will talk about bloom, flare, streak and also magic bullet looks to create more cinematic look for your project. To bring our particles to life, we will use RS object tag, and also instead of RS volume material, we will use RS incandescent material. And here we have control on color, temperature or intensity of the fire and also the ray trace opacity. In this tutorial also we'll talk about how to create a simple storyboard using a generative text to sketch in Photoshop. If you don't have time or you're like me, not very good in sketching, you can use simply Photoshop and create text to images with just few text. And here are example of the text that I have written in Photoshop to create this simple storyboard for this project. Here also another examples of text to sketches in Photoshop. For example, Earth sketch or a space planet or a sketch of the mountain. Finding the right music can be really challenging. Here are the texts that I've used for my search. I was looking for a music which is dramatic or flowing or suspension and also have the feeling of the piano. So you can also use this text or your own text and search about the right music that you want to use for your project. After selecting your music, it's time to categorize it. It's possible your music duration is 1, 2 or 3 minutes, and importing 1, 2 or 3 minutes music into the Cinema 4D can be really challenging for controlling, caching the particles and also the camera animation. The solution can be break your music into few episodes and each episode into few segments. For example, here I have created 5 episodes from 1 minute and 30 seconds of the music. Episode 1 is intro, episode 2 is building momentum, episode 3 escalating emotions, create more drama and emotional atmosphere, episode 4 is peak intensity, and episode 5 is conclusion. So we have now 5 episodes, and now we should break each episode to different segments. And now you can see in episode 1 I have created 4 segments just for episode 1. For episode 2, 3 segments, and here 4, 2 and 1 segment, and each segment have different time and duration. Here segment 1 and 2 have 6 seconds and here they have 5 seconds. So totally we have 22 seconds. Here 17 seconds, 22, 14 and 14, and they are broke in different segments. And now you can import just each segment separately into Cine 4D. For example, you have here 6 seconds, and we will be only import and will be only focus on 6 seconds in Cine 4D. We have much control in camera, caching, and animating our project. After finishing with segment 1, we can just continue with the segment 2, 3, 4 until the end of the project. And also each segment can be representative for your camera or your shot. You can call it shot 1, shot 2, 3, 4, or camera 1, 2, 3, 4. To make story short, we have our 130-minute music, just break it in 5 episodes. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and episode 1 is just 4 segments, and each segment have different time and duration, and we have here the total duration. And here also we have 3 segments. Each segment have different time and 17 seconds. Episode 3, 4 segments, 2 segments, and 1 segment. After creating this simple roadmap for our music, now we can start creating, just focusing on each episode and each segments, and step by step create our audio visual. And now you can see in the final editing project in the Adobe Premiere Pro, you can see easily here exactly the 14 separated segments and also the 5 different episodes that we have already created here for our music. And for each segment, it's already created 1 camera shot, and we have here for episode 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 segments, and here we have 4 camera shots. Episode 2, 1, 2, 3 segments, and here 1, 2, 3 camera shots. And here also episode 3, 4 segments, 4 camera shot. Episode 4, 2 segments, 2 camera shots. And also here episode 5, 1 segment, 1 camera shot. Using this technique and categorize the music and turn your music to different episodes and turn each episode to different segments will help you to focus on each camera shot in Cine 4D and step by step help you to create your audiovisual story. Using Generative Field in Photoshop to create a simple storyboard can help you save a lot of time for your audiovisual project. Now I will show you how to do it. Here in File in Photoshop, we just create a new project, and here we can select Film and Video. Just let's stay with HDTV. It's important here that we select Artboard here. Just select Create, and we have created our first artboard here. And if we select here Artboard Tools, and now we have 4 plus on our artboard. Just we can click here and Photoshop will create the new artboard here. And you can do this to create as much as you need to create artboards. Let's stay with the 6 artboards now, and just we can move and drag the pages to be more organized and have all of them one by one, and start with the artboard 1 here, select layer 1. Let's say base of the music, and I would like to have a mountain here, sketch of a mountain. To create a generative field here, we can select a polygonal lasso tool and just drag and space that we want it to be our mountain. And when we create it here, we just in generative field, we just click, and now we will add our text here. Simply type your text here, sketch of mountain in black and white brush, and then generate. Just we'll wait a few seconds. Now we have a simple and beautiful brush of the mountain, which was only a few seconds created by Photoshop. Here we can change the variation, and even you can add again by generating second time the new generative AI mountains. Let's say again we click generate, and Photoshop quickly will create new variation for us. Let's say I am happy with this one. Let's keep this mountain. And now we need some rays of fire here or planet. Here we will select another selection tools. Just hold the shift and drag here with space. We move it to the position that we want. And now here click on generative field and write our text here. Here we will write sketch of rays of fire in black and white brush, and just click generate. And here we have 3 variations of the rays that has created for us. We won't have just a brush of fires, and if you're not happy you can click again generate. and he will create new variation for you. And here we have new different variations. And let's stay with this one for now. And now we want to have the sketch of Earth here for our story. So again, we will select here and we'll drag on top of it, holding Shift, another selection and another generative field. And here we will write our new text, sketch of Earth's planet in black and white brush, just generate. Easily now we have created 3 different variations of Earth. If you are not happy, again you can generate and see what can create for us. And now we have new variations. I am happy with this, I keep this. And if we select the layer here, we have always here our prompt text here. You can always update it, you can change it. If you select here also, you can see all are editable and you can always experiment and add to it. But if you, for example, here scale it down and move it, you see we have some, just leave it, it's not perfect now, we see something is not good. And to make it perfect with our rays, and if we scale the Earth, we need here just select and generate again. And the AI will calculate and will create the new Earth that is matched perfectly with our rays. And now we have new version of Earth that match perfectly with our rays. And now let's say we are happy with this, and this is our first shot and first camera. And you can do this based on your music for other artboards and create your generative storyboards easily in Photoshop. Let's create here an Insidium xparticle XP system, and also just a simple sphere. We won't be our source of our fire. Just drag it here in utility, and XP emitter, instead of emitter shape rectangle, we change it to object and drag our sphere here. And let's play. We see that particles are simply emitting from the surface of our sphere. And now here on the sphere, we'll just right click, extension, and Insidium tag, we will add xpExplosiaFX source. We want the sphere be source of fire. And if we play, still nothing happens because we need to add our dynamic here. And in dynamic, we just select and xpExplosiaFX, we add it. As soon as we add xpExplosiaFX, we can see the fire is created on the surface of the sphere. Let's for now just hide the emitter here. We can see better the fire. If we select xpExplosiaFX here in solver, it's very important the size. The bigger the size, the more slowly will be the preview because need more time to calculate. So here the size, you must be very careful with the size. Keep it as much as you can, as small as possible. Let's say here, for example, we put 200 here and 200 here, and here 600. And just move this to the top. To see the viewport faster here, we have one simple solution. In xpExplosiaFX, in display, we have here display, fuel and smoke. If you select here, you can change the preview. Let's keep it for now just fuel and smoke. And the mode you can change from slice to grid. And as soon as you change to grid, you can see will be much faster in your timeline. And I recommend keep as much as you can your preview on grid. And you can see the better the preview of the motion of the xpExplosiaFX on your viewport. But now let's bring our emitter here. And if we play, you see emitter are not following the xpExplosia or fire here. We want now particles follow the fire motion. So what we want to do now is just simply select our xpExplosiaFX, and in Advection, Advect particles we will activate. And as soon as we activate, now let's play again, you see particles are following the fire. Let's hide the xpExplosia here, that we can better see how particles are following. And here, if we select emitter in display, let's change the color to gradient. Let's make this to the speed, for example, 200. That based on the speed, the colors also will change and will create a better and more beautiful preview for us. Now let's delete the sphere, select our XP emitter shape, we change it to a circle and ring only activated and cone angle 90 degree. And now let's play. Instead of object, we will now add our tag to our xpEmitter. Just right click, extension Insidium tag, xpExplosiaFX source. Just select. Let's bring xpExplosiaFX back and make the solver to the default and also the coordination also. But if we play, still nothing is happening. Comparing to the objects, when we add the tag here, quickly we can see the fire showing, but here we have xplosionFX and also the tag, but nothing is happening. Because here if we select xpEmitter in extended data and also physical data, you see here temperature, smoke, fuel and fire, they are all 0. We just need to change them to the higher number. Minimum number should be 1. Now let's play here. Let's add temperature to 1, smoke to 1, fuel 1 and fire 1. And now you can see particles are beautifully following our fire and xpExplosiaFX and create such a simple and beautiful visual effect. After advecting particles, you can see that particles are beautifully following the xpExplosiaFX motion. But now we can even add more motion modifiers. If we select here modifier, motion modifier, we can add all of this modifier that we have here and affect our particles. Let's start with xpWind here. Change the position, change the rotation, and now let's play. But there is no effect on particles because we must do one more step here. Just select xpExplosiaFX modifier, and in modifier list here, just drag our xpWind here. As soon as we add xpWind here in the modifier list of xpExplosiaFX, you see that particles are changing the direction. Now let's deactivate the xpWind here. In xpExplosiaFX, we have forces, and if we play here, we have here also wind without any motion modifier. Just need to activate here and let's play. And you see the wind also is affecting inside the xpExplosiaFX. You can change the trends and art directed. Let's deactivate the wind here. In simulation also we have gravity. If you make this 0 and now let's play, you see there is no any other motion. And now we can add here in modifier our motion modifier here, the xpGravity, and now let's select, and if you play still nothing happen because again xpExplosiaFX modify, we should drag our xpGravity here, and as soon as we drag it here quickly, particles are moving and reacting to the gravity. Let's deactivate the gravity here and experiment with other two motion modifiers. Here modifier, motion modifier, let's add here xpExplode. And let's play. Timing we can change trigger at the same time. Let's make this 15 and now let's play. Let's add here to xpEmitter bitrates. Let's make the 5000 and also let's move this a little bit to the bottom and now let's play. You see easily we have created just an explosion FX. You can even add another motion modifier. Let's say we want to have here now xpTurbulence. And again, in xpExplosiaFX, we drag our xpTurbulence here. And now if we play, we have at the same time the turbulence and explosion. You can easily art direct your project and playing with the motion modifiers and also xpExplosiaFX and create very beautiful and cool motion graphics. Now let's deactivate the motion modifiers that we have here. There is no any other modifier here. We just have our xPlosiaFX, and here we can back and activate our gravity here again. And particles are simply moving to the top. But here again we can add another dynamics and affect our xpExplosiaFX. Here in object, just dynamics and select for example xpFlowField. In xpFlowField you see there is no changes on our xpExplosiaFX. Again we must select here modifiers and just drag our xpFlowField here. Still nothing is changing because if we select xpFlowField here, this is very important. that you should not forget, changing direction to the velocity. And now, as soon as we change to velocity and play again, you see that particles are changing to random motion, and also they are following the xpExplosiaFX. Feel free to add other layers and experiment with all of this what we have here in xpFlowField and see what you can do, and also try to experiment with other motion modifiers and see what you can create with integration of the XP Dynamics and also XP Motion modifiers and xpExplosiaFX. I'm sure you can have a lot of fun. Feel free to experiment. Here in Insidium xParticle we create the XP system, and if we select our XP emitter, object and emitter shape, we will select circle and activate ring only and the cone angle 90 degree. And now if we play, we have particles emitting only from the ring. And let's select emission and bitrate, let's make this only 100 number. And speed, we don't need any speed. We want to control the speed of particles with xpSound modifier. Now we go to modifier, and here in control modifier we will add our xpSound modifier. And here in object we need to load our music here. Just click here and upload your music. After loading your music and play, you see nothing is happening. Still we do not have control on the speed. In map sound we need to add the map sound speed. Just add here, the default parameter is color, we just need to change it to speed. And now particles are moving. To be able to listen to the music in timeline, here we will add a sound effector. We just drag it here and we will upload here the same song that we have uploaded here for xpSound modifier. Just click here and soundtrack, just load the same sound. Now we have control to turn on and off the sound in timeline. Let's play. Now let's select xpSound here and play a little bit with dB range and frequency max and also speed. Here minimum and maximum we can add or make the speed of particles slowly. For example, if you here make the number 10 and let's play, you see particles moving very slowly. And if you make this 300 and you see now particles are emitting very fast. Let's keep this 100. And now we can play with dB range and frequency max. We can add to it or you can make it less. Let's make this for example 4000 and also the dB range only 20. And now let's play again. Easily just with playing with the number here with frequency mouse, with max and min and also dB range, you can art direct your particle motion and speed based on the sound here. Now we select our XP emitter and we rename it to primary emitter. And then if we select here emitter, we just create a new one and we rename it to secondary emitter. If we select our secondary emitter display, we change the color to the red and also the particle color to the red. And emission speed, we don't need any speed here. And also the object emitter shape, we will change it to a circle and also ring only and the cone angle 90 and the disk radius 55. The primary is 50 radius and the secondary is 55 because we want the primary emitter affect the secondary emitter. And now if we play, should not be any particle speed. But as you can see, particles are still moving. Here in emission, the speed is 0. Primary emitter and secondary, both of them are affected by xpSound modifier. But we want only the primary emitter be the one which is affected by xpSound. So we want to exclude the secondary. For this, if we select our secondary emitter modifier, we just drag xpSound here. And here minus means exclude, and if you click, it is now included. We won't just exclude for now. And now let's play. And now we have only the primary emitter affected by xpSound. Now we select primary emitter, just right click and here we will add our xpExplosiaFX source tag. And also in dynamic here, we will select xpExplosiaFX. And now if we play here, there is no fire in preview. Because if we select our primary emitter and extended data and physical data, smoke, temperature, fuel, fire, they are all 0. We need to change them to minimum number 1. And now let's play. And you see particles now have the fire effect. To make the preview speed faster, we just select the xpExplosiaFX and here in display and just change it to grid. And now let's play again. And we can see better and faster the preview. You see that our fire and smoke is going to the top direction, but we don't want this. For this only in xpExplosiaFX simulation, the gravity we just make it 0. And now let's play. Now this is exactly what we want to do. Secondary emitter still do not get any speed from our primary emitter. To solve this problem, just select xpExplosiaFX and in Advection, just advect particles. And now let's play again. And now you see that both of them are not playing. And we have another problem. To solve this problem, just we select our primary emitter and in Modifier we drag our xpExplosiaFX here. And by this we just exclude the xpExplosiaFX from our primary emitter. Like for secondary we exclude our xpSound here. And now if we play, everything should work. In xpSound, here we have already added the speed parameter. If we select xpSound here, we have map parameter speed. Now we can add the second parameter, which is radius. Here let's select our primary and in editor display we change it to circle. And if we play here, you see that all of the particles have the same radius size. Here in xpSound we add another parameter. In here we will select radius. In radius we have same parameters that we can play with them and art direct or audiovisual. But now let's play and you see the size of particle start be 100. Let's make this for example 15 and the minimum 5. And now let's play again. Let's change the minimum to 1 and maximum to 8. And now play again. You see here you can easily art direct and change the size of the particle radius. Let's select here emitter and just hide it to see the better preview. And also xpExplosion, we hide it. And we select secondary emitter emission. We add the bitrate, for example, 8000. And also our secondary emitter, the color mode, we change it to gradient parameter. And the parameter we will change to speed. Let's add 300 here and select another color like full colors. And now let's play. And now you can see here with the radius size of our primary emitter and adding map parameter radius in xpSound, you can art direct your audio visual easily. Let's say instead of maximum 8, we make it for example 3. And here 0. And now let's play again. You see you have a smaller size of radius, you have totally different results. And you have less particles affected by the primary emitter. And if we change the in xpSound, the parameter minimum, for example, here 3 and the maximum 13. And now let's play again and just hide it. And you can easily art direct it and create your own audiovisual based on your music. And here in this example scene, you can see that already I have created a primary emitter and also secondary emitter. The primary emitter is object and this radius 100, also cone angle 90 and ring only. And the secondary is this time instead of a circle, I have selected emitter shape, a torus. and the inner radius is 100 and outer is 105. You can always alt direct and add to it. And in secondary emitter in display color mode, I have selected gradient parameter and just gradient color, the colorful one, and gradient parameter speed, minimum 25 and maximum 200. In xpSound here, we have also speed and radius parameter. The speed, the dB range is 50, frequency max 44, and minimum and maximum speed is between 0 and 100. And also radius, the dB range is 70 and minimum radius is 0 and the maximum is 8. And only I have cached. For caching your file, you can just come here and in Insidium xparticle and select xpcache, and here just select the drive that you want to cache it and build your cache here. If your preview is not fast enough, there is another solution. Here for the real-time see the motion of your particles, you can here select and click and make a preview. And here you just give all frame or the range that you want to have the preview. And here you can select option and preset. You can add high quality for just preview. And he will start calculate and make a very quick preview for you. After our preview render is finished, we'll be open this picture viewer and we can in real time play and watch it. Now let's play. After caching our particles, now it's time to render them. Here in material we can select a volume, or we can select the simple particle material, or we can select the incandescent material. In this tutorial, our focus will be on incandescent. The RS volume should be dragged on our xpExplosiaFX. After adding our RS volume on our xpExplosiaFX and just start here rendering, we do not see anything here. In render setting, in globals, just default lights I have deactivated. This is the reason we have now no lights in our scene. Now let's go to RS volume material. We have here scatter, absorption and emission. In scatter we just need preset, just xplosion/FX we add fire here, and the color channel we will select here smoke, and in emission we will also add the fire here. Just want to show you that how we can create a simple smoke and fire here. But as you can see here, there are a lot of parameters that we should play with, color and also absorption, and maybe will take a lot of time to create our fire and also will be too much realistic, and for this tutorial we don't want to create a realistic fire. So what we can do now, we just delete this volume light and we will not use it. But now let's try with RS particle here. This RS particle will be added on our secondary emitter here. Here on secondary emitter we have 25,000 particles, so we can drag this on our secondary emitter. Just right click and add a render tag RS object, and if we select RS object here in particles, we just mode is default disabled, we add sphere instances. But because we don't have any lights, we cannot see anything here. Just let's add a simple dome light. And now you can see our particles are rendered with the exact color that we have here. You can here play with the scale multiplier. Let's make it smaller, and you can easily render the particles in a colorful way that you want. But let's say we want only have the fiery feeling and we don't want have the RS particle. So now we'll go to the third option, RS incandescent. Let's delete this. And we don't want this RS dome light, we won't be completely dark, and also we delete our RS particle material. Now we have our simple RS incandescent. Just drag it here on our secondary emitter. You see here quickly we have emission and the lights on our every particle, but it still doesn't look like a fire, just like a flat black and white. We need to work a little bit on our incandescent material. Here if we select it, we have color, temperature, mode, intensity and also the alpha. These are the parameters that we should only work on them and be focused on them. If you want to work with the color and change the color here, you can easily select your color that you want. And here you can play with the colors and change the color. But if you want to have the temperature, here you change the mode from color to temperature. And now you can have, for example, a fire temperature or just the blue one. You can add here, for example, 20,000. But another parameter is intensity multiplier. Here you can add to it. Let's make it 5, will be more intense or fire, or 1 will be less intense. Now we have only 3 parameters to focus on: temperature, intensity, and also alpha. The less parameter you have, the more control you have and the quicker you will get your result for your client. So now the intensity, let's make this 5 for example for now, but still everything is flat. You want to give a little bit gradient to the particle. So here come alpha and the ray trace opacity handy. The default one is 1. We just need to change it to, for example, 0, 1. And now we have much better, but it still is not what we want. It's much better. We see a little bit here the gradient that is created on our light. So what we need here, if we select our secondary emitter and our RS object, you see the scale multiplier we put on 0.5. We just change it to 0.1. And now you see much better. We have more fiery look, and also the intensity of the light is not all flat. We have here less intensity and here more intensity. To summarize, we only just use one incandescent material, and also just with the temperature, and the mode only just temperature, and just playing with the intensity and also with alpha mode, and finally just adding a scale to the particles. With this parameter you can easily art direct and quickly get the fiery result for your audio visual. Now it's time to make it more cinematic. For this, if just click here in your Redshift render view, you have here the setting. Just click here, and now you have here more options to add here to our fire. So for example, here optical, you can add to the exposure, make it more intense or make it less intense. Or here we can add the bloom and the flare and stick. Let's add the bloom. Just activate here. You see we have a little bit more glow here. You can play with the bloom parameter. You can bloom threshold, for example, softness, and also intensity. You can easily add to it and see it real time in your preview. After you're happy and selecting your bloom, now we can work with our flare and just add a little bit flare to it. You can also play with the threshold here or the softness. Just a few parameters that you can here art direct and the intensity. And after you're happy with the flare, we just add our stick. Here have also just few options that you can easily art direct. After you're happy with your streak, flare and bloom, you can anytime back again to your optical exposure here and add or make it less based on the new parameter that we added here. Let's say we are happy with everything we have here. We can still make it look more cinematic with adding just magic bullet looks. Here you can activate it and just open the magic bullet looks. And here you have a lot of looks that you can select from category and test your project and see which one worked the best. Let's say we want to have our blockbuster cool and select our classic zombie and just here click on it. And you can see we make it even more cinematic, and just here with the mix you can make the intensity less or more. I do not recommend to use this in your final render in Cinema 4D, but for preview and see how our options created and how they work together perfectly with your magic bullet, it's good here just to test it. But for the final render, you just deactivate it and render as it is with just a streak, flare, bloom and optical without magic bullet, and then you can add the magic bullet and post-production in your After Effects. Because in After Effects you will have more control and you don't need, if you do not like your magic bullet, to re-render all of your project again. If we need to mask particles separately as a separate layer, we easily can do it in Redshift. Just select here our secondary emitter and our OS object, and here we have object ID just activated. Let's give a number 1, and now we just select render setting, and in AOV we just show AOV manager, and here we just need to add our puzzle mate. Just drag it here, and in puzzle mate we just activate the direct because we want the second layer or here our fire mask be rendered in the same folder. One more step here, the mode we will change from material ID to object ID, and all of this we will add also 1. And now let's close. Here we have the object ID 1, and if we go to render view, here we can just play here. We see that the beauty and also puzzle mate. Just click here and render the frame. And now you can see we have created a separate mask for our particles that you can use easily in your post-production. Here we have beauty, and here we have the mask for our particles. Now it's time to render our final project. We just go to render setting here, and in the save you see that for preview I use only PNG or MPEG-4, but we will now finalize it. So for final render for this project we will use OpenEXR, and also the depth 32, and here we will activate 16-bit flows. But now let's back to our Redshift. Here in our global we have color management. Here we have OpenColorIO configuration, rendering color space ACEScg, display sRGB, but the view we will render it as a raw, and we will deactivate here compensating for view transform. Now we have two projects, one is ACEScg and one PNG exported. You can see clearly that ACEScg has a different color compared to our PNG. This PNG is our original one, but ACEScg, the EXR export, is totally different. We should turn this color to this one, which is our original one. Before we start with the process, please be sure that here, if you click here on your project setting color, you choose color engine, Adobe Color Manage, and bit depths should be 32, and also the working color space should be sRGB. And do not forget to activate the linearized working color space. If you remember here in color management in Cinema 4D, we have the OpenColorIO. In After Effects, you need to install this plugin. Here is the link to install the OpenColorIO for After Effects, link in description. After installing the plugin, here we will Ctrl+Y, we create a new layer. Let's call it OpenColor, and then activate here. Then in Effect, Utility, OpenColorIO. And in configuration here, we must add the custom here. We must find exactly the OpenColorIO in Redshift Cinema 4D. Here in Program File, Maxon Cinema 4D Redshift Core Data OCIO, you can find it and just open it. After opening, we have here input space and output. Output will be our sRGB, but the input we will change it to ACEScg. But still the color is totally different from our PNG. Here we will add another layer, and in Effect, Utility, we will select Color Profile Converter, and let's rename it to Profile Converter. Here we will activate Linearize and also Input Profile and Output Profile. Output Profile we will add here sRGB, and Input we will add also sRGB, but still is not same color. Let's select here Open Color here, and you see the default is on Convert. Let's click on Display, and now PNG and ACEScg, they are same. To test and to understand what is the big difference here, let's select our EXR file and just add the exposure here. Let's add, for example, 5, and just copy this and add it exactly the same. And now you can see there is a huge difference. Here we have more cinematic and realistic glows, but in PNG you cannot have the quality of the glow that here you have in ACEScg. Now let's bring exposure from 5 to -5, and let's copy this, also bring it here. You can see also here the difference. And here when you add effects and also magic bullets, looks, You can now add the looks that we have here, talk about it in our Redshift, and do your post-production in After Effects. You see, you can easily select and see the preview, select it, and just make the strength lower and create your post-production with the high quality. Here is the example file of the project that I've worked. In Redshift Advanced Global, you can see here the rendering color space is ACEScg, view is raw, and display is RGB, and here deactivated. Motion blur enable, and transformation step 6, movie, angle 180. Sampling, threshold, samples mean and samples max. You can see all the number here. Then bring all of the EXR render into the After Effects, but you see the color is not exactly like the PNG files. Here we have one layer of OpenColorIO, and then we convert it. Now this is the original look that we want. Now we can install our post-production. Here I just added one look layer with looks, film, coloristo, and optical glow. You make it more cinematic. Also, I have rendered a separate layer, I've called it mask here. If I click on it, you can see this is our separate layer. PuzzleMate only render a mask for our particles. I just make copy from the original and call it fire and just activate it. Here I just for mate select the mask file, and the fire mode change it from normal to multiple. I hope this behind the scene and explanation helps you to bring your projects to the next level. Here in Insidium Mesh Tools, we can select Mesh Tools xpExplode and turn any object to xpExplode. Let's select from here just a simple disk and change it to the Z. With NB we can see edges. Here we can add to the rotation segment, and inner and outer radius we can also play with it and create some simple elements. Now we can just drag our disk here, and let's hold Alt and just double click. If we select xpExplode display, just deactivate gradient, and now we can see that our object simply turn to the splines. Here in object in xpExplode we have different modes that we can select. For this tutorial we'll only focus on a standard and outline. Let's stay with a standard now and create another one. We call this a standard, and the second one we will call it outline, and select here. We will change the mode to the outline, and now we have the standard. Let's here the disk size we selected and make the outer radius bigger or smaller, and here we can make the outer radius a little bit smaller, and we can add to the segments here. And if we select our standard here, just add to the shader, we can add a noise here. And you see that with creating noise you can create some randomness here. If you select here our noise, you can play it with the different type of the noise and create quickly and simply different random elements. Or you can art direct with the brightness and the contrast. You can select the type of the noise that you want. Let's stay to the default for now. And also you can the tolerance, you can animate it here, or you can animate the start growth or the end growth. Also for the outline we can do the same, just here shader, and we can add the noise here, and simply we created some random shapes, and here also we can do the same with the noise, and also animating the tolerance or the start growth and the end growth. And finally we can play with the dash line. Let's bring this for example 60. Now simply we have created some element that we can use for our projects. You can alone experiment with the standard mode or the outline mode, and also experiment with the shader types, and let's see what you can create for your next project.